Today we're going to do something different. We're going to ask ChatGPT the most common questions asked on Reddit because it's going to be faster than just reading those questions. Also, people on Reddit tend to blabble a lot. I can't really judge them because I do that myself. But that's going to be more concise. This is something I'm trying to work on recently to be more concise in my speech when I do long YouTube videos. So, without further ado, I'm going to ask it, what are the most common asked questions by single men on Reddit for dating women? All right, so the first big question is, how do I know if a girl is into me? So you understand that with this video, you're basically going to have answers to probably all the questions you have. Now, because of restriction of time, I can't really explain too much details here. I try to make this video less than 15 minutes. So we're going to do that rapid fire and try to be as concise as possible as I've explained. So how do you know if the girl is into you? Short answer is you can never know unless you take a step forward. Now, here's what I started to say recently. There's two things in the escalation process, meaning going from strangers to friendly strangers to lovers to relationship. And for each stage, somebody has to take the lead. Now, you as a man, culturally speaking, and also almost biologically speaking, it's easier if you take the lead. Meaning, you have to start with the leadership. You have to be the leader, but you have to be calibrated, meaning that you take a step forward and then you see what's happening. What's her reaction? Is she moving away? Is she happy to reciprocate, etc.? And you act accordingly. So do I need to draw it for you? Obviously, if she does not reciprocate, you do not continue. You stop and you wait longer, or you might give up at some point if you see that it's really not at all what she wants. But what most guys' problems do is that they wait for the signs, they wait for permissions before acting. And this is a major problem, especially today with guys. Is that they do that and therefore it's not attractive in itself, and also it doesn't lead anybody nowhere. Because women are also waiting and therefore nothing happens. A lot of you have probably been in that situation, not just for approaching, but also for moving from strangers, from friends, let's say, to like lovers. This is also a critical stage where you have to put a step forward and then calibrate. So if you can just learn to, instead of calibrating in advance, meaning waiting for permission, seeing if you have all the signs to act, if you start to do the opposite, which is first you act and then you see what's happening and you react accordingly, then that's going to change your whole thing here. You won't even have to need the signs that the girl is interested in you or not. Second question is, where can I meet women if I don't like clubs or dating apps? You could approach and talk to women everywhere. Everywhere where there's women, you can do it. I would probably say no if it's a funeral. That's probably the only place I would not approach women. But every other place is fine, provided that, again, you do it respectfully, you do it in a way that makes sense, you don't try to fake your way into it. So that can be the street, a store, a park, a mall, obviously, a festival of music or of whatever, a museum, a library, whatever it is. Just think about all those romantic movies and where those people meet usually. It's like in everyday's life. She's on a bench, he sits next to the bench. They're on a train, he sits next to her on the train. Like it's always like that. It's just that the way the guy does it is good. That's why it works. That's the only thing that matters actually. Is that you need to be aware of the context, if it's a funeral, for example, and then you need to just be respectful and smooth, and then you can make it anywhere. So yes, you can approach outside of clubs and dating apps for sure, and I actually would recommend it. You just need to, one, know how to do it, and two, have the balls to do it. How do I start a conversation without being creepy? So the creepiness, this is something I analyzed before. It's when you're faking something, when you are pretending something to get to something else. Usually it's something like you approach a person in a public place and you say something like, hey, Do you have the time on your watch? Do you have the time on your phone? Hey, do you know where the nearest Starbucks is? And then she answers and then saying, okay, by the way, what's your name? What do you do here? Creepy. It's like, originally it's like, it's creepy. It's like in the hidden space and you don't fully show it. It's like this guy, he's not completely clear what's happening. So I believe that that's part of the explanation. Now, of course, there's also the how do you look like. If you look like a weird guy, that it's a bit confusing. If he's a homeless person or a guy that's going to ask for money or trying to sell you something, or a guy that hits on her, so on the girl, then that's confusion, and confusion is bad. Also, it makes it creepy also, because it's like, what's happening here? So you need to look good enough. I mean, look normal enough. You need to look relatable, like look like the kind of guy that she might have in her social circle. And then you need to have an approach that is also normal in the most common sense of what that means. Something like very simple, like, hey, sorry to disturb you, but I just saw you, and if I didn't talk to you, I would have regretted it for the next 10 minutes easily. Or, hey, I just want to compliment you on your style. I just love it. I love how the shoes match the color of your shirt. And by the way, what's your name? Blah, blah, blah. Something that we could hear and be like, yeah, that makes sense. Sure, yeah, of course, yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, he likes me, he said it. That's nice, I like it. And not something weird like, hey, I'm looking for a gift for my sister, and what's your name? Why are you asking her for opinion on the gift and not the thousands of other people in the store? Why her at that moment? Like, it's obviously your intentions are unclear, okay? So there's different levels of creepiness, as my point. And there's either physical level of creepiness or it is your attitude that is creepy. But as long as you're clear, relatable, respectful, and you look decent, you're not going to have this creepiness objection. As I said before, so last thing, pay attention to the context. If it's a funeral and you try to hit on the girl, that's creepy, of course, also. Next question. What's a good opening line on dating apps? So I already made videos about this. Actually, if you're interested, you can just send me, by the way, a message and I will give you the exact process that I use. But the opening line on the dating apps, there isn't one best thing you can do. Usually you just have to stand out. So you can't do the same thing that everybody else is doing. And you at the same time also need to be not too weird. So, because often it's the two extremes, right? You either do something very bland, hey, what's up, for example. So it's like you don't stand out at all. Or you do something very out there, weird. You write a paragraph like this where you try to come up with a story or whatever. And therefore it's a bit too much. So you need to find the right balance between surprising, but at the same time, normal. Okay? Because let's be honest here, the work has already been done with your profile. If your profile is shit, don't overthink too much your first message. If your profile is great, your first message can be bullshit, she's going to answer. So it's like a mix of all those things. So I would focus really on having a great profile first, so you have regular matches of quality also, because quality comes with quantity on dating apps. And then I would start thinking about how I can write a first message that is quite relatable, but at the same time make you stand out a bit. So for example, you observe something about a profile and you make a comment that you know it's not a comment that probably a lot of guys made. So something a bit clever or a guess about her personality, anything like that usually works if your profile is on point. And don't overthink this too much, because even if your profile is on point and you have a lot of matches, you're still gonna have a lot of girls that are not gonna answer your opener because of the sheer volume of messages that they receive. Okay. Never take it personally. That's what I would say. Next question. Why don't I get matches on Tinder, Hinge, Bubble? Well, that's a perfect transition. I would make sure that you have a plan in terms of pictures. So you need to have each picture that gives an information about you, a piece of information. It can be physical, it can be personality-wise, it can be lifestyle, it can be interests, travels, etc., whatever skills you have also. I would put priority on anything that shows you have competences or skills. That's always good to have. Anything that shows you smart, anything that shows that you will go through life without too much worries and troubles and problems. So if you smile, obviously, it's also better. If you have people that seem to like you on the pictures, it's also better, etc., etc. All of those increase your perceived value. So this is what I would try to get. Now, then there is the implementation of that. So you need to make sure that each photo you use, you actually look good. If you don't have pictures of you looking good on any of those pictures you already have, you might have to do new ones. It's much better than keeping those shitty pictures. And on the execution of taking those new pictures, you need to practice a little bit, being in front of the camera, knowing how to convey a certain emotion. This probably will require that you talk to the right people to help you with this. I help with this. If you want me to help you with this, you can send me a message. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. It might be that you do a lot of effort on your profile and you still not get quite a lot of matches. Like you might get maybe 1 every 2 weeks, although you worked on your profile. But that would be most likely for 2 reasons. You're not physically attractive enough for dating apps. It's too hard for you to convey value in that limited time window that I've explained. Or you do look good enough, and I had clients like that. They look good enough on a scale of 1 to 10. They're 9 out of 10 objectively. We tested it, but they just don't have a lot of pictures that shows their personality. So especially if in a higher competitive city, like a capital city, for example, of a European country, you will have problems because there's a lot of competition. And if you just rely on your physique, you will be invisible because there's a lot of attractive looking guys on the dating apps. Because of course, when you're an attractive looking guy, you put yourself on the dating app, you have a lot of options. Of course, you're going to stay there. Okay. Unless you meet somebody. And even then for some of them. So yeah, you get invisible because you just rely on one metric, which is looks. But if you are rather good looking and you put different pictures of yourself that each tell a piece of your story, as I've explained before, then this is where you stand out. And then you complete it with a fun, not try hard, not needy bio that's just very short and sweet, and you will not have any problem to get matches on a dating app. One last thing I want to say is that location does matter. And let's not kid ourselves here. Of course, if you go to Asia, to the Philippines, if you go to South America, if you go to Eastern Europe, or if you go in London, you will not get the same quantity of matches or even quality. That's just how it is. The more competition you have, the more difficult it's going to be to stand out. So if you max out your profile and you're still not getting matches, consider maybe changing location if you want to rely only on dating apps. And by the way, that also is the same principle for different dating apps. Like in some cities, some dating apps work better than others. You need to test them out. Do a little bit of research and you're going to see. Feel free to tell me in any ways through likes, comments, messages if you like this, or if you would like to know more about something that I said. If you'd like me to talk about a different topic next time. I'm doing those reaction videos because, as I've said in the previous one, it's just easier for me to edit. I have a shitty computer. I trying to save up to get a new one. It's not easy. And so I cannot make too long videos or too elaborate videos because I just don't have enough space to deal with those files. Then afterwards, just a nightmare. And so, yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that for now in this video. And that's it, and see you in the next one.